Now it's time to start the real actual animation. So congratulations, you're finally here, you finally made it, and let's begin. Obviously, let's delete the camera, delete the point light. And now I'm actually going to take this cube and delete it as well because we're not going to need it anymore. So what I want you to do is install the MC Prep add-on. Now, if you remember, before we moved on to chapter 3, this chapter, I recommended you to download Mindways, MC Prep, BPS Character Rig, and BSS Asset Pack. Now, for this tutorial, we only need to enable the MC Prep add-on. Now, if I press on N, I don't have the MC Prep add-on enabled. So if you remember correctly, we went to the course files, we went to the organized workflow, we went to add-ons, and then we installed the MC Prep right here. So that's exactly what we want to do inside the Blender. So I recommend you to go to Edit, Preferences, go to Add-ons, and if I search for MC Prep, it's not going to be here by default. So what we need to do is click on the small arrow, small drop-down arrow, and then click on Install from Disk. So install from our computer. Now, once you click that, make sure to locate it. So in my case, it's going to be in the organized workflow, and in your case, it's probably going to be in the same folder. Course files, Woodplank, organized workflow, add-ons. So now if I go inside the add-ons, I have the MC Prep add-on over here, and make sure you leave it as zipped because that's exactly what we want. Now I can double click on this or click on Install from Disk. It's up to you. And now we have it inside the Blender, but we cannot find it. So if you don't see it, make sure to search for MC Prep. And now it's right over here. Make sure it's enabled. And now if I enabled it, you can see it's inside my add-on section. So I'm going to press on N. And now I'm going to go to the MC Prep add-on. And you can see I have a bunch of settings over here, which are very, very useful when you start the actual production of Minecraft animations. And this add-on is free, and this add-on is very, very amazing, which gets constant updates, and they have a lot of stuff to it. Right now, we can shrink down these menus and we can ignore these menus. So you can actually shrink down the world import because that's not what we want. You can also shrink down the world tools. You can shrink down or collapse the skin spawner, and we want the spawner. So if you want to spawn different items and blocks inside the Blender, you can do it from here. So let's say I want to spawn a block. I can expand this block spawner, click on Reload Assets, give it a few seconds, and now you can see I have this Acacia button, for example. Now if I press on Place Acacia button, you can see I have a button over here. Now the reason why I don't see any textures is because I'm in the solid view, but I can actually enter the material view, and now I will be able to see Acacia button with all the textures applied, which is very awesome. Now I can do the Acacia door bottom left, for example, place it. And I have a door spawned over here, the bottom part of the door. Now, I want to go back to solid view because it's a lot faster than material view, but I still want to be able to see the textures. And the way I can do that is by hovering over this arrow. Make sure you're in the solid view, hover over this arrow. And then instead of material over here, I'm going to set this to texture. If you're using older Blender versions, I think texture is going to be right around here. But click on texture, and now I'm going to be in the solid view, and I'm still going to be able to see the textures. And one more thing I like to do is pressing this arrow, and then disable outline, and disable specular lighting, so that there's no weird specular lighting over here, and I can see my objects fully in a nice way. So now I'm going to press on A to select everything and delete everything, because that's not what we want. Instead of block spawner, we need the mob spawner. And these are different mobs. So now that you know how the rigs work, I think you're confident to make your first animation, which is going to be this cute bouncing slime animation. So let's do that. Now, if you want to search for slime, you can either scroll down or do it manually. But there's this nice little menu. If you expand this, you can actually search for it by the name. So I'm going to select this and type slime. And now you can see I'm going to be able to select the slime, press on spawn slime. Give it a few seconds, and there we go. We have this cute slime right inside our scene with all the different bones. Again, remember, bones have different appearances, which is why they look rectangular right now. But these are all the bones which we added previously around the cube. Now I can select either the slime mesh and move it around, but that's not what we want. Instead, we want to select the armature or the bones around the slime, like here. And now we want to animate the bones. The reason why we're not able to manipulate each bone is because we're in the object mode. And when you select bones in the object mode, it selects everything. But if I press on Control Tab and then go inside the pose mode, now watch what happens. We have bones which have different colors, different appearances. Again, if you remember, this is the default bone, but these are also bones and they have a different appearance. Now, if I select this bone, for example, these are the eyes and mouth. Now, if I move it around, you can see it affects the actual slime eyes. Now, if I want to see the insides of the slime, I can actually go to the wireframe view. So I can select the eyes, for example, and then move them like this. You can see these bones control the eyes. This controls the eyes. This controls the mouth. But for this animation, we're not going to focus on the face. So we can just leave these bones by default as they are. I'm going to go out of the wireframe view, go to solid view. And now let me show you the more important bones. So this bone right here at the bottom is called the root bone. The root bone controls the entire location of the character. So if I press on G and move it around, it's going to move the character. It's going to move everything. It's going to move the face. It's going to move the top bones and all that stuff. If I press on S to scale it up, it's going to move and it's going to scale the entire character. Now let me show you what this top bone does. This doesn't move the character, but instead it only moves the top portion of the character, the top portion of the slide. So if I press on G, you can see it does this cute, weird, stretchy thing, right? If I press on S, it's going to scale it like this, and I can also rotate this. Now, if I select the second bone, which is this one, it's going to do the same thing, but for the bottom part. So if we press on S, it's going to scale it down, scale it up, move it down, rotate this side by side, and that's pretty much it. So remember, we need, for this animation, we only need 3 bones. We don't need the face. We're going to need the root bone, which moves the whole location. And we're going to need this to create the squash and stretching animation. So you can actually select different bones together. I'm going to select the top bone. I'm going to shift select the bottom bone. Now I can select this, scale this down and scale it up at the same time. Now, if you remember, I can scale it down by locking it on one axis. So I can press S and then X, or S and then Z, S and then Y. But let's say I want my slime to squash without going up and down. So if you remember, up and down is Z. So I want to exclude the Z axis. So I can press on S, Shift and then Z. And now Blender is going to exclude the Z axis and only going to include X and Y axis. So now watch what happens. I can squash the slime and then stretch the slime on the side without it going up and down. So that's a pretty handy tool when we start animation. So that's what I want you to keep in mind. So feel free to go to pose mode and play around with different bones. You can also press on tab, go to edit mode and see how these bones are made. But that's not what we want right now because this is not a rigging tutorial. This is not a rigging course. Rigging deserves a whole separate course. I myself am not really good at rigging, which is why I use online rigs for free. So you can also use that as well. But if you want to learn rigging, there are a bunch of tutorials out there. So feel free to learn it. But for this course, I want to focus and dive deep into animation, which is exactly why you're here. So let's do exactly that in the upcoming chapters.